So to go into your background, I mean, one of the things I want to mention, because I think it is amazing that you're also, on top of this, you are a appreciative inquiry practitioner.
Right.
And what does that mean?
So appreciative inquiry is a model of organizational development and change that comes from Case Western University in Ohio. The person who founded it, David Cooperrider, discovered through his doctoral work that when you focus on strength, your organization improves radically more than if you focus on weakness. Yeah. That I think he discovered, even though he's not a psychologist, he's a business professor, he discovered that human nature, when you focus on the negative, reduces your creativity and innovation. You're a little bit more defensive, like who dropped the ball kind of thing. Who wants to go to a meeting where we're trying to find out who drops the ball? Nobody wants to go to that meeting. But,
and how many times have we been in that meeting?
Yeah, the interrogations begin. Like I remember working with a guy who said the beatings will continue until morale picks up. That there are people who instinctively do that without even knowing they're doing it.
I know it's just demoralizing.
Yeah, and it demoralizes you, and the recognition that a demoralized employee is a low producing employee. A enthusiastic employee is a high producing employee. I think there was a study once that said 3 enthusiastic employees can do the work of 10 unenthusiastic employees. I mean, an enthusiastic employee can do so much. So he discovered that what if we just look around? We have this issue. Our sales are down. Is there anywhere in our organization where sales are up? Anywhere. I don't care how small, but and then somebody said, yeah, there's this organization. Let's find out what they're doing. What are they doing that's working? Maybe we can learn from them. This is
absolutely
so basic that it was kind of shocking to him that he discovered that nobody was thinking this way. And then he built this into a model. And the model has several components. One of them kind of goes to the daily culture building, which is called the constructionist principle. And the idea is you create the reality by how you act. And the words you use create the world that you want to live in. I recently was working with an organization that was struggling. And there was heavy accountability. We have to be accountable. We have to be accountable. And he said, I raised my hand. I go, you know what? Accountability, not motivating me. It makes me feel like I'm in high school. I like the word responsible. I don't mind being held responsible for something I said I would do. But to be held accountable, it sounds like the teacher's coming down on me. I don't even think that way. And when I interviewed,
you shut down, right? You shut down to it.
Like,
you stop hearing.
Oh, geez. And then what started to happen is, as I raised that, I just made a comment. Slowly but surely, people stop using the word accountable. They say, I'm responsible for this. I'll take that. I'm responsible. And what I like to point out is that's a more human conception of commitment rather than accountability is more like a machine conception, who missed it versus who's committed to it. So that's what appreciative inquiry does. It focuses on organizations as living human systems, people. What makes people work well together? Let's do that and not worry about policies and procedures as much. Worry about enthusiasm and commitment and innovation and ask the question, what's working well? Just start there and build from that.
It makes so much sense. I mean, it's so simple, like you said, because so you can look around at even a small, even if you're a solopreneur, I always try to bring it back to that because that's at the simplest form. You could take that and you could say, okay, who's your happiest client? And I think you said this before. Yeah. Okay, so what did I do right? What happened there? Of course you can't, but maybe it's a few happy customers or clients.
Right. And
maybe, what was the experience?
Yeah, and maybe that's a particular maybe that person is in a particular business that you happen to be really well suited to speak to. That could be the learning. The whole thing goes back to what's the learning from that. And in appreciative inquiry, we're focused on when and things go wrong, things fail, stuff happens. And I have been in the moment when like, oh, the fail happens and everybody feels horrible. And I said, so let's flip the switch here. Okay, it happened. And we feel a bit embarrassed that this didn't go well. So what is the learning from that? What do we take from that about how this happened so that we can be better? Just think about being better. And immediately people can be a little bit more reflective and say, well, I should have thought through my comment to that client. I should have did my homework a little bit better. Okay, all right, there's something. And when they talk about how they could be better, they feel better about the situation where the fail happened or they didn't meet their numbers or they lost an important client. So stay positive is always the doorway to higher performance.